We live, man. First and foremost, I don't say call hello, Yahweh Ba, Shema Mashiach, Yahweh Shai. That's all praise to the Most High God, and name is only begotten Son of the Lord, ignorantly called Jesus Christ, man. Gotta get that out the way, man. Hit that like button. If you let the Lord hit that like button, let's get this pushed out to the algorithm so that this can reach many people who haven't heard of this truth and haven't heard of the glory of our God. That needs to be said. That needs to be done because we are getting really close to the destruction of this place. Right, and as y'all can see, the title says the war is back on. Oil shocks is coming. Various topics live. Right, various topics I'm gonna talk about. I'm gonna do the presentation that I didn't get to do last time because I accepted smoke from the dummy. Right, that's my bad. But you know what? I'm not gonna put that on the back burner. I'm going to do that. Right, I'm going to do my presentation. But before that, we have to, because I was going to get on here just to do my presentation and then, we keep it pushing. But so much stuff has happened over the weekend, right? There's white people out here pouring one out for Lindsey Graham, right? That damn devil. I'm so happy the Lord decided it was time to take him. All praise to the Most High for that, right? All the various other stuff going on with the war, it needs to get talked about. It must needs get talked about, right? And also, throw out at Mr. Monica for your gracious donation. May the Lord bless you a millionfold, right? All of this has to get talked about, bro. It's getting nuts in here. Now what we've been seeing throughout the last few weeks when it comes to the Iran war, and I need to do a live stream for the Ukraine war because that's starting to heat up too. But what we see going on with the Iran war, Trump says something crazy when the markets close, does his bombing, right? Sunday night or early Monday morning, he announces to the world that, oh yeah, we're back in talks again, right? We see the same cycle of manipulation of the stocks, manipulation of the markets. We see that perpetually, but we didn't see that this week. And you know why that is, everyone? It's because Trump is getting desperate. His own party's turning against him. The strategic oil reserves are running low. And you know what happens if you don't know what happens when that happens, gas is gonna, like, for people living in Texas, gas is gonna look like California gas. Like in the peak COVID, you're talking about $7-8, right? $9-10 a gallon. That's what happens when the strategic reserves runs out. And we are getting at the bottom of that. I need people to understand that. That's where we are now. And I need to, when I get on live and say I want to do a lesson, I need y'all to understand this first. We're getting to the end. Right? And I'm not going to be a false prophet and say, oh yeah, this is going to happen tomorrow. No. What I'm saying is we need to watch the prophecies. One of the prophecies in Isaiah chapter 13, these people who the Lord's going to stir up against Babylon, right? The media, the Persians, right? The people of Media, Persia, what's the ancient name of Persia? Iran. Who's going to stir up against Babylon? They're not going to regard gold or silver any longer. Do you know what that means? There's no deal to be made. We're getting to a point where there's going to be no deal made. We're seeing the prophecies see all of their precursors before they fully happen. We're seeing that. So that's where we are. That needs to get talked about. We've had so many people still talking about the Trinity, and cool, we needed to destroy doctrines. People talking about salvation, cool. I mean, that's fine. We've been dealing with that for decades at this point. But we need to be harping on prophecy. Because we get to a point to where you're going to have to pick a side. There's no more sitting on the bus, oh, I need to change my life tomorrow, or I'm going to do better later when I get older. It's coming to a point to where you're not going to have the ability to see Yachty on the internet. You're not going to have the ability to see the prophets on the streets. You're not going to have the ability to have this word in abundance, so you better get yourself right. Even me, right? I'm not just coming up here to say I'm the most perfect individual to ever exist or I'm greater than anyone, but we're getting to a point to where none of that even matters anymore. And that's what I come here to tell y'all. So let me show y'all this before I go into we're gonna do this and we're gonna transition into the presentation after that. So I'm gonna show y'all Steve Ram's video that he just did a few hours ago, and it's gonna summarize all the things, and then we're gonna go to secular talk where he pinpoints all the things that's going on with the Iran war. So let's start with that, and we're gonna marry it up with some prophecy.
Moments ago, we heard the breaking news that President Donald Trump has just announced he's going to be making a primetime address to the nation. Now, he gave very little details regarding what it was. However, a lot are speculating it has to do with the conflict in the Middle East and the war that is just erupting. We're going to be seeing what this major announcement is, but moments ago, take a look with me on the screen here. You can see just in President Donald Trump announces there will be a primetime address to the nation in a new post he just released. Now, there's also
so he posted this. I think it was on True Social. Trump is going to do a prime time. That's probably going to be in a few hours. A primetime address where he addresses the nation about what's going to happen with this war, and everything you're about to see is going to show you how pressing this war is. And he's going to have to. What's probably going to happen? He's going to have to get to a point to where it's going to do a ground invasion. And you know what happens when you do a ground invasion? Y'all about to be here for a long time. A lot of people are going to die. That's what's going to happen. These people have been preparing for a ground invasion for a very, very long time. And they've literally admitted that and say, come on and try it. So that's Trump is about to, he could fall into a pitfall and his presidency could just sink. But either way, if that happens, America, that's going to be the false flag that keeps America there to cause this whole downward spiral. That's what this could be.
So video footage starting to roll out on it. I'm going to be covering the latest information so you can see it for yourself. Now, in addition to this coming out today as well, the president has announced that he will be planning to take over the Strait of Hormuz. And he says the United States should be paid for it. He said our military is in place. We're protecting the strait. We should be charging a fee, 20% toll in the Strait of Hormuz. Donald Trump proposing this just a little while.
That's a crazy thing. You're saying America should take over this Strait of Hormuz, and now they're going to run it and charge people 20% off of everything? That's piracy. You're being a pirate. That's what you're doing. You think the world's going to accept that? Because then the issue with that is, you know who also takes some of that oil? Some of your allies, Trump. And you know what that sounds like? The horns hating the whore. Because either way, that's going to cause a price spike, and that's going to disproportionately hurt them than us. Oh, I love it so much.
He said our military is in place. We're protecting the strait. We should be charging a fee, 20% toll in the Strait of Hormuz. Donald Trump proposing this just a little while ago today, July 13th. In addition to that, the U.S. is continuing to attack Iran as the IRGC retaliates by striking U.S. bases across the Middle East. Last night, I covered it for you live as it was unfolding. The attacks were taking place. We've heard it's carried over into today, and the IRGC is attacking back as well. In addition to that, IRGC claims strikes on U.S. targets in Jordan, Bahrain, Kuwait. The war is erupting, and that is why a lot are pretty much anticipating that this national address, President Donald Trump is going to be letting the world know, the United States, the current state and what direction we're going to be going as things have fallen apart regarding the MOU and the ceasefire.
Yeah, that MOU and that fake-ass ceasefire they had is over with. It's done with. It's done. The IRGC is attacking U.S. bases in Jordan, Bahrain, and Kuwait. Strategic areas. They busting back, bro. You thought you could just attack them, and you thought you could just attack them and nothing would happen. They won't come see you. No, they're going to come see you. You thought you could just send a boat through their ways and not use their approved ways, and they're not going to come see you. No, that's not the Persia we know. Persia has always been a great power, even when it comes to the Bible, all the way into 2026. But the hubris of the lineage of evil, or the lineage of Esau, compels them to be dumb. And I love it so much. Oh, how I love it so much. Because let me pause this real quick, because I must needs read this Bible verse. What is that? Is it Wisdom? I think it's Wisdom 18. Where's it? 18 and 7. Let me see. Yeah, I must read this. So, Wisdom of Solomon 18 and 7 in the, I guess, the RSV, it says, the deliverance of the righteous and the destruction of their enemies were both expected by your people. So when they are destroyed, when they do the Ouroboros, like the snake eating its own tail, when y'all destroy yourselves with y'all's own dumb decision making that you're doing with your dumb president who's MAGA, who's embraced the world with MAGA, right? When y'all destroy yourselves, that's simultaneous to our salvation. We have to expect both of these things. That's why I glory when these things happen. That's what the prophecies say. That's what Solomon said. That's what not even just Solomon. You can go in Revelation and see that, especially Revelation, the 12th chapter. When that great red dragon is destroyed and cast down and all of his angels, right? Then here comes the let's read that. We're coming right back to this. We're coming right back. So Revelation, let's start at 9. Revelation 12 and 9 is and the great dragon, and I already did a breakdown on this, showing you how this is a revised Roman Empire and then going into America, right? And going into just Edom's power being taken out, right? That's who the great red dragon is. And so the great dragon was cast out, the old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation. That's mirroring right with Wisdom of Solomon 18. We have to expect both the salvation of the righteous and the destruction of the enemies. So when they're destroyed, when they're cast down from heaven going to like a high place, y'all's place of rulership, the time of the Gentiles being fulfilled, right? It says, and I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now has come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ, for the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before God day and night, right? Accuser of the brethren. It's time for them to fall. America, like, what y'all don't understand is America is, well, most of y'all probably understand, but the layman person in America doesn't understand that America is circling the drain. The dollar bill is about to be worthless. You are embroiled in another forever war. This one looking more consequential than the Afghanistan-Iraq war, which y'all did with Bush, right? Hey, look at this drive. Fool me, can't get fooled again, right? Apparently, but you're getting fooled again with this war and with MAGA again. Right? All of that is going to lead to Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans over here being delivered from their captivity. So enjoy it. Enjoy it. You have to enjoy it, right? Because what we had to go through and the things that we had to go through, there was no getting out of that. There was no, you're a good Black and you don't have to deal with this. No. We had to deal with the weight of the transgressions of our fathers. So y'all have to do the same thing. Look at this. Revelation 18, actually. Revelation 18 and let's start at 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, that you receive not of her plagues. Now, I've already broke that down a billion times, right? That's Israel getting called out of Babylon. But I want to highlight one part, the plagues. Let's talk about these plagues. It says, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities. What is that? What she did to God's chosen people, the Israelites, who we come to know as the Black, Spanish, and Native Americans, colloquially, right? That's our terms and our terms and our culture nowadays, Black, Hispanic, and Native American. But back then, before them ships sailed over here, whether it go for the transatlantic slave trade or when it comes to when the Northern Kingdom sailed over here after Salmanazar led them in captivity, as you see in 2nd Ezra. Before that, we were called the Israelites. We kept the law, statutes, commandments of God. Not all of them, but I mean, we were the ones who by name, we see in 2nd Ezra, we were the ones by name who eventually at one point did keep those. That was our culture. Now, what y'all did and what y'all sin was by bringing us into captivity, enslaving us, and forwarding the affliction, like it talks about in the prophets. Those are your sins. As your nation is a generality, not oh, only a few of them did it, so only a few might pay for it. No, as a generality, these the lineage of Esau, y'all put us into captivity. You must go into captivity. These are part of your plagues. One of your plagues is being burnt up with fire, which we're going to see when we get to the 8th verse. But after that, the rest of you must know what you've done through the judgment of the Lord. Look at this. It says, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you. So if anybody want to play the game, certain Gentiles are going to be saved because they were nice to the Israelites. But how did Babylon reward us? You had a minority of them, because not all of them owned slaves. But what ended up happening is you have the slave catchers, you had the people who transacted slaves when it comes to finances, especially the small hats. That's something people don't want to talk about. I need to do a lesson about that. How the small hats had a special relationship with slave owners and financially, right? All of those things, that's what she rewarded us. That's how this nation has rewarded us, and these specific people have rewarded us. So they must be rewarded. The kid, when you see those postcards, when you see a black man being hung, and then all the rest of the white people gathered around cheering it on, and that kid right there, who's just looking at that with their father, he didn't literally do that, but he was a beneficiary to that action that was happening to that black man. He was right along with it, so he has to pay for it. That's just the way it is. So verse 6, it says, reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works, in the cup which she hath filled to her double. How much she had glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Right? And that's these people. That's Trump, really, if you ever heard of it. Glorifying themselves, live so deliciously, right? You sit a queen, and that's going into basically like they don't know what it means to be without the power that God has given them, right? They think manifest destiny, God gave them the ability to just have this land. And you know what? I guess you know what he did for a minute. He gave them the ability to have this land. They think it will always be that way, but it won't be. And that's what this prophecy says, and various other ones, whether it be Isaiah, Jeremiah, all of these, right? It says, I sit a queen and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death, mourning, and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord who judges her. Now, this right here, where it says one day, this isn't literally one physical 24-hour period. How do we know that? Because a famine can't strike in one day. Like when you see a famine happen, it's people going without food for a varied amount of times. We see them becoming skin and bone. Time has to elapse, right? So that's not just one day. That's not one literal day. This is just a short amount of time. All of this is going to happen. And then boom, the conclusion of it is it gets burned with fire. What's going to do that? These wars. That's what's going to happen. So let's go back into this and see what's going to cause this.
He's likely going to be letting us know the next steps moving forward and what's going to be happening. Now, in a first, we're hearing the U.S. military used seaborne drones in an attack on Iranian ports. The video footage is incredible. We are hearing that this is absolutely exploding with new technology, new moves that the United States has never seen before. U.S.-Iran exchange fire as the IRGC claims the Strait of Hormuz closure until the end of interference. And also, take a look here. Alarming new satellite images. This is very fascinating. Show signs Iran may be trying to rebuild the suspected nuclear facility, as we had heard the warnings from Benjamin Netanyahu that the IRGC already had a nuclear bomb. Trump let us know the reason why we got into this is because they were just a little short distance away from achieving a nuclear weapon. And we're hearing that right now it is being reported, satellite imagery is showing they are back at it, planning to develop nuclear enriched uranium. Now,
well, I mean, Could you at this point in 2026, could you blame them? They just had a funeral procession that had 12 million people. We talked about it on the live. 12 million people showed up to that for their version of their Pope, right? Their spiritual leader, their spiritual father. They blew him up. And not only him, his immediate family members, and I think somebody's daughter, and carried out that small casket out for everybody to see that. That's what America did. But you want to blame them for wanting to have some kind of retribution? That's what it means. They sit a queen, and they say that they won't know widowhood, right? You think that you can do whatever you want and nobody can do anything about it, but people will come see you. This is Persia. We read about Persia in the Bible, and they're existing as a great nation now. And you thought Edom could come here and come here for 250 years and now think you can rival them? The people who buys technology from Russia and China with like all the drone technology, which is really modern warfare now. You thought you're going to send a meat grinder to them of just soldiers or like infantrymen to try to take this out? Like, you got to be dumb. you have to just be high on your own supply to come to the conclusion that that's a good idea. You have to be. Like, I just don't get it.
UN Ambassador Waltz says Cuba's regime.
Well, no, I do get it. It's the Lord doing this. That's what this is. It's the Lord doing this. Also, Shalom, Dre, right? It's the Lord doing this.
Is a national security threat to the United States. You can see this coming out in the last 24 hours as, again, we are being warned that as this is erupting, they are shouting for death to America, attacks on U.S. soil, the assassination of Donald Trump. All U.S. troops will not return home, and they said they want to shed American blood on U.S. soil in U.S. cities. And we're hearing that President...
And that's a stark change from what they used to be. When this war started, if anybody's been paying attention, Iran just understood, hey, this is Trump and his cabinet. You Americans, I mean, y'all, like, not to say y'all are good, but we understand it's just these people, the Republican Party, and everybody up under Trump. They understood that. Now, after that funeral, they don't care about that. That's out of the window. After you killed our spiritual Pope, you killed his daughter, you killed his wife, you killed all of them, you maimed his son. No, it gets to a point to where it's like, you know what? Damn all this diplomacy, we have to come see you. That's what it has to be now. And whose fault is that? You want to get mad? They're saying, you want to get mad that these people are saying death to America? Why are they doing that? That's the effect. What is the cause? Oh, I know, you went over there and just blasted up for no reason. Like, you gotta at some point you have to really kind of look in the mirror, but it's just they're incapable of doing that because of the white man's hubris. That's y'all's vocabulary word, hubris. I say that word a lot. And every time I say it, it's usually a white man somewhere before and after the sentence. Look at that word, hubris. That's what they have. That's why they can't look in the mirror, and that's why they continue to do this. The Lord has put that spirit upon them to do this so that we honestly do it so we can be saved, to be honest. Let's keep it real. So let's look at this.
Oh, just horrible.
Also, at the end of that, I closed that up prematurely. So what he was going to say is Trump's having, I said this in the beginning of this live stream, Trump is going to have an address where he addressed the nation pretty soon, at maybe like 8 o'clock my time. It's like, so I guess in a few hours, right? I implore everybody to go watch that, because that could be the inflection point to something crazy. So I implore everybody to go watch that after this, right? Well, it's going to have to be after this, because, I mean, I'm not going to be on that long, right? I don't plan on it, at least. Lord willing. I always say that, and it just goes 2 or 3 hours. So, you know what? We'll see, right? But I'm going to be tuning in on that. So I implore everybody else to do that. If you want to be an actual watchman and know what's going on, do that. So let's start with this. Some secular talk. He's going to be pinpointing pieces of things that we just saw in those headlines, those articles. So let's just watch this.
horrible news here. Now, let me show you exactly what's going on in the Middle East, because this also is a catastrophe. So let's start with this Sky News report explaining how all hell has broken loose yet again.
This war is at a dangerous inflection point. On Saturday night, another commercial vessel was targeted off the coast of Oman, this time a Cyprus-flagged container ship. The crew evacuated in a lifeboat, and one Indian national is missing.
Now, I should point out, every time Iran is targeting a ship passing through the Strait of Hormuz, the reason why they're doing it is because the shipping lane that they're using is in violation of the Memorandum of Understanding, okay? You have mines all throughout the strait. Iran is insisting, both for the safety of the ships, but also because now they control the strait and they can charge fees for the strait, they are insisting you need to use this particular pathway that we've created, okay? So what happens is the U.S. is saying, no, screw you. We're going to have our ships go whichever way we want to send them, and you can kick rocks. It's basically the U.S. testing the resolve of Iran to enforce the Memorandum of Understanding. And
yeah, so that right there, did it say his speech is on Thursday? Nah, bro. I just seen it. I just seen the thing. Let me see this real quick. Let me see. Oh, it didn't change it to freaking Thursday. Bro, it said today. Yeah, because Steve Ram just opened up the what's it called on it? Okay, it's Thursday. Okay. All right then. Well, we gonna wait till Thursday, right? You said okay, kind of Thursday night. Okay, yeah. Steve Ram said that wrong then. Right. So we're gonna wait till Thursday. You would think it'd be today with all the stuff that's been going on. But okay, Thursday, right? You know, my bad, right? Either way, I'm watching it. I'm watching it, and that's gonna be Thursday. But also now, since I mentioned Thursday, we're gonna do another live stream on Wednesday, right? And I meant to plug this in the beginning. I don't know how I forgot. I titled it "Did God Logic Confound These Hebrew Israelites on Daniel 7?" About like the two most highs thing. I should have changed it. How bad did they get confounded? Because it was horrible. I'm not gonna lie. It didn't look good. They were not prepared for it. It's just. We need to talk about Daniel 7, bro. That because it really don't even prove the Trinity, but that's going to be on Wednesday, right? I may have some current events with that too, because all this stuff's moving very fast. So we're going to be talking about that, and maybe a little bit of current events, and maybe something else as well. So tap in, man. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell icon, because I know YouTube be playing games with my channel especially, right? So let's continue with this.
And what the U.S. is realizing is they're fucking around and finding out Iran's not playing.
Oh, damn! So this is what I wanted. This is what I want to highlight. I want to say it one more time.
That we've created, insisting both for the safety of the shipping lane that they're using is in violation of the Memorandum of Understanding. Okay, you have mines all throughout the strait. Iran is insisting, both for the safety of the ships, but also because now they control the strait and they can charge fees for the strait, they are insisting you need to use this particular pathway that we've created, okay? So what happens is the U.S. is saying, no, screw you. We're going to have our ships go whichever way we want to send them, and you can kick rocks. It's basically the U.S. testing the resolve of Iran to enforce the Memorandum of Understanding.
So this right here, so this is what y'all got to understand. Trump's getting on Fox News, like I always say, state regime media, right? He's getting on Fox News. They're going up against the Memorandum of Understanding. They're breaking all the truces. But what Trump's doing is he's sending ships through an unapproved lane according to the Memorandum of Understanding, right? U.S. and Iran came to a conclusion. Okay, you're going to follow how Iran has set up travel through to navigate through the Straits of Hormuz. You're going to follow that. America's like, okay, we're going to do that. And then immediately the next thing they do is screw that. We're going to do our own thing. And now they're getting shot at. And it's they're going against the Memorandum of Understanding. That's what I mean about how y'all are the devil. That right there is a devilistic. I created that word. I don't even care. That's a devilistic motive right there, right? You want to make it seem like you plan on peace and plan on using diplomacy. You don't even care about that at all. You want to try to test their resolve to see if I can do what I want to do, and y'all not going to tell me nothing, even though we got together and came up with a plan. That's America for you. They had no intention to using any type of diplomacy to end this war or to get on a good relationship with them. You made a plan, but war was in your heart. Let's get the Bible on it. Let's get the Bible on it, right? Look at this. This is y'all. Shalom, Mark. This is y'all. It says Psalms 55:21. The words in his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. That's the damn devil. That's Edom. That's what they're doing with this memorandum of understanding, and that's what they're doing by disregarding it and then doing their own thing by sending ships off another way. I know we agreed to this, but I'm about to do something else, so it brings us back into a war. That's these people who apparently can receive salvation, apparently. But that's another that's a topic for another day. But that's what they're doing with this. That's what he's explaining right here.
And what the U.S. is realizing is they're fucking around and finding out Iran's not playing. When they say, we need you to use this path, they absolutely mean it. And so it's not like they're not warning these ships. They're warning these ships, hey, don't go that way. If you go that way, it's going to be problems.
Yeah, I think most of them are on X or Twitter. If you go look at what's happening when these ships, like the ships that are guided by America or like just European powers, mostly just America, when they're going and transiting the strait, the IRGC is saying, hey, don't do that. Follow our approved route. They just say, screw it. They're just ignoring them. And then they get shot on and then want to cry about it. That sounds like something a small hat would do. But that's besides the point. But that's what they're doing. They're just ignoring the memorandum of understanding. They're ignoring the IRGC warning them that say, hey, if you keep doing this, we're going to blast on you, and then get blasted on, and they complain about it. And the only reason they do that is so that they can plunge themselves back into this war. And you know why Trump is doing that? It's because whatever's in them files is just damnable, man. Whatever is in them files, it's really bad, right? And one day, I pray we live long enough to see what's in those files, right? I pray we do, because they know Benjamin Netanyahu is going to release them anyway, so it is what it is. But I'm telling you, that's why he's doing this. That's why this war is continuing, and that's why all of this stuff is happening. And the Lord is guiding this. That's the crazy part about this. I'm going to get that a little bit later.
And then they continue, and then they get attacked, okay? But let's not get it twisted. This is the U.S. violating the MOU first, and Iran reacting and trying to uphold it.
In a statement shared on Iranian state television, the Revolutionary Guard said it fired a warning shot after the vessel took what they're calling an unapproved route through the Strait of Hormuz. In response, the US attacked Iran for a third time this week. Central Command releasing images of some of the 140 strikes it says were carried out by order of the president. Iran has now declared the Strait of Hormuz closed, but in an interview with NBC's Meet the Press, Donald Trump says otherwise.
It's open. We bombed the hell out of them last night. They're very, very evil and sick people. We had meetings with them they agreed to a deal yesterday, a perfect deal for...
See, and that's the hubris of the white man. How are you going to tell them they strait is open? That's like me going up to your house and saying, yeah, I can come here whenever I want and do whatever I want inside of your house. Somebody will look at me crazy. If this is Texas, a standard ground state, they got castle doctrine, they're going to blow me away with the shotgun. What do you mean it's open? How are you going to tell them? That's the look at this guy right here. That's the hubris of these people. That's
for us. No nuclear, no this, no that, no nothing. They gave up everything, and then after that, they left the room, and then within an hour, they launched a drone at a ship.
And what do you mean by that? With it, they left they have the leverage on you. Trump, I don't know if you've heard this or not. The IRGC has made their claims about what they want to happen when it comes to this deal. The memorandum of understanding is literally their terms. Like, it's not negotiable. These are their terms. They're not about to now go into a room with you and say we're going to give up everything and give up all of our leverage for nothing. Like, that's what you call an errant lie. And that's why I say like these like Sky News sometimes sometimes they're okay, but Fox News, that is state regime media. When you see things like this is state regime media. This man is lying his ass off.
I know it's like a trite thing to say at this point, but it is truly astonishing just how much and how casually he lies about everything.
Yes,
I
that's
said, you
exactly
people
what I'm
are
talking
sick.
about.
You're sick people. And so it's one of those things.
Iran had warned any retaliation would be met with a severe response. And this time, the missiles and drones weren't limited to Bahrain, Kuwait, and Jordan, who've borne the brunt in recent days. United Arab Emirates came under attack for the first time in nearly 2 months. Qatar, now playing a key mediation role between both sides, reported incoming fire too, with residents describing blasts that rattled windows across Doha. And Oman, in jarring contrast to regional front pages, reporting their bilateral talks with Iran just the day before, confirmed drone attacks on Omani territory too. Iran's new supreme leader, who's still not been seen in public since succeeding his father, didn't appear at this week's funeral commemorations, but issued a statement vowing Iranians would avenge his death.
Hold on, real fast. Imagine that, right? You can't even go to your father's funeral because you will make everybody a target there if you do so. And y'all want to say, "Oh, I can't believe they're saying death to America." Why do you think that is? They unalive your father and make it to where if you go to his funeral, all of your fellow compatriots, the rest of your nation that you love, what you want to lead, will be a massive target for these people who are supposed to be the most moral army in the world. Right? You know, that's what Biden said about the IDF. Right? They're the most moral army in the world. And you wonder why they're pissed off at you, because this is what you do. And I need people to understand this is the nation that we live in. This is the people who wants to tell Black, Spanish, and Native Americans, y'all are wicked. These are the accusers of their brethren. Somebody who will unalive somebody's father, their daughter, their family members, and then maim you, and then make it to where you can't go to your own dad and their funerals at the same time because you would get all of your people killed and most likely yourself. Ooh, it seems a little justified to me. It seems a little justified to me that they're saying that.
And that message was inscribed on a missile apparently fired in today's attacks and shared by the Revolutionary Guard.
Matter of fact, I think there's a Sirach verse about that, actually. Let me see. Yeah, this is it. Right? Is this on the screen? Boom. Sirach 7:1. Do no evil, and evil will never overtake you. Now, there's a famous rap song. I forgot what it's called. Where they say, "Don't start no shit, won't be no shit." Right? And it's apropos that a Black man wrote that because that's what's in our culture. Sirach is something that comes from our culture. Do no evil, and evil will never overtake you. If you don't start no shit, there won't be no shit. That's us. It's funny how everything we do come back to the Bible, though, even when it comes to dice and things like that with lots. And we understand that, but y'all don't understand that because of hubris. Hubris definition, right? Hubris refers to excessive pride, arrogance, and overconfidence. That's what you've seen with these people. Is it often describes a dangerous state of mind where someone believes they are infallible or above the rules. Who does that sound like? It says blinding them to their own limitations and ultimately leading to their downfall. And that's why I made that. Yeah, that was Lil Jon. Oh no, I feel bad by that. That's my era. Damn. But I'm saying, like, that's why I put that in the thumbnail. America's downfall is imminent. It's imminent because this is what y'all have. This is what's in y'all's minds. This is what's gonna cause y'all to do this type of madness. And y'all gonna see if they send that ground operation. I'm gonna tell you this, bro. That this might be the one, right? This might be the one to get us up out of here.
Iran's lead negotiator, Mohammad Khalibaf, posted on X, "The era of one-sided deals is over. We told you, keep your word or pay the price. Reality is knocking." It seems last month's memorandum of understanding is being interpreted very differently by both sides. Iran now targeting vessels that bypass its controlled route through the strait, which carried around a fifth of the world's oil before this war and has become the thorn in
Well, yeah, they have two different understandings. Iran sat down and said, okay, this is what we want. We have leverage. Y'all bombed the school with 200 kids in it, hit it 3 times when their parents went there. And then when the people came to go dig out the parents and the kids, it destroyed them too. You did that, right? You locked up your economy with us closing down the strait, right? And all your bombings you're doing here isn't working. You're running low on ammunition. You're running low on ammunition for the interceptors in Israel. So you're like, we have you. So this is the terms. Y'all, America agreed to the terms, and then right after that agreement said, fuck that, we're going to do what we're going to do. And are now mad about it. That's where we're at now. That's where we are at in 2026. That's what's happening. That's the nation that you live in.
Donald Trump's side. Nearly halfway into this 60-day negotiation window, it seems nothing substantive has been discussed between both sides. It's unclear now what options the US president has left. At best, diplomacy is back to square one. At worst, this spirals into another wave of all-out fighting.
No.
That's crazy. At best, you're back at level 1. At worst, it's a greater war that we're in now. And you know, Trump, it's always the worst case. This man has the opposite of the Midas touch. You know, the Midas touch, you turn something, it turns into gold. He got the opposite. He got everything you touch turns to shit. Right? That's probably where we at in 2026 with this.
No, see, that's the thing, though, is perhaps this was the plan all along. The plan was get it back to square one, because all the U.S. was really doing with the MOU was buying time. They were buying time to reload and refresh and get ready. And get ready for what, you ask? Well, either trying to take Karg Island or one of the other important Iranian islands, or planning some sort of ground invasion. Trump is certainly acting like that's the ultimate goal. That's where he's going to end up. That's what he's going to do anyway. Because if you weren't going to do that, you would be negotiating in good faith. You would be taking Iran seriously. You would actually try to uphold the terms of the memorandum of understanding. And simply put, the U.S. is not doing that. Israel is not doing that.
We showed that on the last live. He literally just, this is such a baboon regime. And he literally said, yeah, we're just doing this so we can buy us some time before we can attack again. I'm like, first of all, like, number one, why would you say that on live TV? Like, they're not going to just see the clip that went world. It went everywhere, right? And number two, buy you some time. That was like 2 or 3 weeks. How many ammunition can you, like, there's certain of our ammunition in America that takes weeks to months to make. Sometimes even longer. You weren't even good enough at the dumbass plan y'all was at that y'all was in to even buy yourself some time. This is a baboon regime. We're gonna destroy this place, bro. We're going to destroy this place.
I mean, one of the key things in the memorandum of understanding is that Israel has to get out of all of Lebanon. They're not doing that at all. They're still occupying literally all of South Lebanon. So if they're not upholding the most basic terms of the MOU, clearly the plan here from the U.S. and Israel, the axis of Epstein, is, we're going to try to ground invade or take Karg Island and continue the war effectively. And on that exact point, take a look at this. U.S. Special Forces mothership Ocean Trader spotted hiding in plain sight at Oman port. Okay, so I'll click here. You can see it. I know it's blurry, but you can see that is the Special Forces mothership there. And it's showing exactly where it is here, the port of Oman. Now, why is it there? Why is it there?
Why is the United States Special Forces there? Oh, maybe they could be running Vanguard for this ground invasion. They probably have thinking like they have like that they're thinking about, like they're planning. I wonder why that's there.
Perhaps because special forces will be involved in the next phase of this. This leads me to believe more of taking Karg Island. But we've seen a lot of military plane activity throughout the entire Middle East within the past 3 or 4 weeks. And that would seem to indicate a troop buildup in Iraq and launching a ground invasion from Iraq, which also, I mean, that would be absolutely terrifying, because when you talk about a ground invasion, you're talking about massive casualties, okay? And not the kind of casualties that many in the U.S. unfortunately overlook, namely civilian casualties on the other side. No, this is like massive U.S. soldier casualties in a scenario where they actually ground invade. And I mean, you want to talk about waking the American people up. Now, the fact of the matter is, I think they've been hiding the number of injuries and the number of deaths this entire time. Like,
could you imagine that? Could you imagine 100 to 200 to 300 American soldiers dying in this war while your approval rating is already in the 30s, while the Republican Party is turning on you? That's why Trump, I don't know if y'all been paying attention to this, Trump reinforced some of the walls and some of the entry points to the White House. Why do you think that is? Why do you think it's been full steam ahead on his little ballroom he's got going on? Like this dude is like, boy. While you ran on no new wars, it's been only wars. He's war maxing, while at the same time being an authoritarian like Führer. He's Führer maxing, all at the same time.
Like, I think it's worse than what they're letting on. But how much can you hide it if we're getting real serious casualties because of a stupid, doomed from the start ground invasion? Just absolutely horrifying thing to really wrap your mind around. All right. Daily Mail says, new front opens in Iran war as U.S. is dragged into crisis phase and oil prices rocket. Now, the only thing I'll take issue with here is the phrase dragged into. The U.S. isn't being dragged into anything. It is actively making the decision to continue the illegal war of aggression. It is on the U.S. We have agency, and what we're doing is fucked up. But oil prices are skyrocketing, and like I told you, we're down to nearly the bottom of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. And in a scenario like that, bro, again, I don't think people understand. We're talking about $6 a gallon gasoline, $7 a gallon gasoline, maybe more than that. We're talking about gas prices skyrocketing. We're talking about grocery prices skyrocketing. We're talking about rationing. It is going to be, I don't think people are prepared for what's to come if we continue on this course. And I think Trump and the Secretary of War Crimes, Pete Kegsbreath, I think they're stupid enough to think, well, we're just going to ultimately take Karg Island and control Iranian oil and we'll be good. Like, no, you idiots. Is it not clear that this is not going to be like the Venezuela operation yet? Do you not understand you're up against a formidable opponent who has strong backing from both China and Russia as well? Do you not understand that they're smarter than you and they've been planning for this for fucking decades?
Literally.
Donald Trump.
They've openly said they've been preparing for this for decades. Openly. They said that in press conferences that are in I think what's the language? Was it Farsi? That are in Farsi and literally said it. They said, come on, they literally invited a ground invasion. Like, this guy, this is crazy, right? If they actually do this, this, I mean, it might just be the year, right? It might just be.
Was trying to fuck Stormy Daniels at a golf event when Iran was planning for this. Like, this is how far back this goes. It honestly goes back even further than that. Trump was trying to keep black people out of his apartment buildings when Iran was planning for this years ago. Do you not understand that? Apparently they don't understand that. And they're going to learn the hard way yet again, that they're not just going to be able to bully their way out of this. Tonight, the U.S. has attacked water stations, electrical systems, airports, and border checkpoints. This is terrorism.
That's a war crime. Water stations, electrical systems, airports, border checkpoints, that's all civilian things. That's a war crime. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 individual war crimes. It's without all of those things being itemized. Those are war crimes. That is terrorism.
I told you guys the other day that another thing that they attacked was right at the corner of a nuclear power plant. Not nuclear as in like they build weapons there. Nuclear as in like, nuclear power for the power grid. Just psychotic stuff. Absolutely psychotic stuff. And we also get this. Breaking, the Agajari oil and gas airport in Omidyeh, Iran, has been hit by U.S. airstrikes. Almost all cities in Khuzestan province have been struck in the past 3 hours. Okay, Breaking, the IRGC announces it will destroy gas and oil infrastructure in the region should the U.S. continue strikes on Iranian infrastructure. So the U.S. is continually hitting Iranian infrastructure, and Iran is saying, you are very close to us destroying, to do a suicide pact with the world and take down the global economy by destroying all of the oil infrastructure in the Gulf Arab countries. We already have an oil.
Boy, could you imagine if that happened? Could you imagine if they destroyed the oil infrastructure? Look, at that point, like, look, going to camp, doing like that's about to be over with. I ain't gonna hold you. Like, all this other stuff, like, that door is gonna be shut. We hear Christ teach that parable about the 10 virgins, right? 5 was foolish and 5 was wise. Yeah, that door is about to be shut.
Oil shortage. We already have an oil crisis. The Strait of Hormuz is already shut. This would compound that 1,000 times over because it would take decades to rebuild that kind of infrastructure in the first place.
Yeah, it's over with.
So, I mean, to say we are gambling is a massive, massive understatement. Breaking, Iran has begun a large-scale retaliatory strike against U.S. bases throughout the Middle East. Smoke is rising from the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet headquarters. All right, take a look at this video. You can see the smoke in the distance there, right here. Okay. Breaking, Saudi Arabia carries out airstrikes against Sana'a International Airport, Houthi-controlled Yemen. Saudi Arabia ends ceasefire with the Houthis. This is a huge deal because now the Houthis are coming out and they're saying, okay.
Yeah, and they can close down their strait.
It's on like Donkey Kong, bitch. And not only do they control a strait that's super important for global trade as well, which they can shut down, but also now they can enter on the side of Iran more generally, and they can also start going after Israel. They could also start going after the U.S. They could also start going after all of the Gulf Arab states. To get the Houthis back involved in this is just again an astonishing fuck up from a bunch of idiots on the U.S. side of the equation. Okay, breaking. President Trump says the U.S. is reinstating its blockade of the Strait of Hormuz for Iranian ships and customers. Here's what he says. The Hormuz Strait is open and will remain open with or without Iran. We are reinstating the Iranian blockade, so named because it is only stopping Iran ships or customers from entering or leaving. All other countries will have fair and open use of the strait. The USA will be, from this point forward, known as the guardian of the Hormuz Strait. But
could you imagine somebody saying that? That's like somebody coming to your house and being like, this like, I'll be known as the guardian of your house, right? And everybody can come and transit whenever they want at your house, and I'm guarding it. Like, that's Trump. That's America. I can't do my I'm not good at the Trump accent. I'm not. I used to be. I can't do it no more, man. I can't do it no more. I wish I could. I used to be really, really good at it though. But his, I can't beat his. Kyle's his impression is way better than mine, bro. It's funny. Let me see.
As such, and as or leaving, all other countries will have fair and open use of the strait. The USA will be, from this point forward, known as the guardian of the Hormuz Strait. But as such, and as a matter of fairness, will be reimbursed at the rate of 20% on all cargo shipped for any and all costs necessary to do the job of providing safety and security to this very volatile section of the world. The process and formation will begin immediately. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Okay, so first of all, just like dropping the pretense completely and letting everybody know we're a mafia, we're a mob country, because he's saying, I'm going to protect you. Protect you from who? From us bombing you. That's basically what this is. But demanding a 20% tax, that is way above and beyond what Iran and Oman were going to ask because they now actually control the Strait of Hormuz.
And it's like, that literally only hurts your allies. That literally only hurts your allies. It hurts. Matter of fact, it hurts you too. Because if America is going to charge that toll of 20%, you know that money's not coming to us. You know, every time Trump and his regime, right? His Reich, whenever his Reich collects any type of money, any type of funds, it never trickles down to any of us. It's always they're gonna take this, and for some reason they got to give it back, and then something happens where they don't have to give it back. That's what happened with your tariffs. All the price we had to pay for tariffs because the price hikes and increase that for some reason never went back down after the tariffs got released and they got paid. They don't have to pay that back. Some of that they had to dole out, but for the majority part, They just keeping it pushing. They hit a lick on the Americans. That's what happened. Every single one of us, they hit a lick on us, and they're still really doing it because prices ain't never go back down after that. That's where we at. But 20%, okay, you're going to charge 20%. That means the people who are buying the oil are going to have to pay more, and they're going to pass that price hike down to Americans who they sell the oil to in the form of gasoline, which causes another price hike on diesel because that's what has to be used to send all those 18-wheelers up and down the streets of the United States. It only hurts you. I'm like, this is what I mean about like this. You can't possibly be this dumb, right? Like the Lord has to literally be making him do this. Look at this. Like the Daniel 4:17, the sentence is by the decree of the watchers, the decision by the word of the holy ones, to the end that the living may know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men and gives it to whomever he wills and sets over it the lowliest of men. The Lord controls all these people. This man can't literally be. Also, Shalom, Ms. Roxy. Also, the Trump cannot be this damn stupid by himself. I refuse to believe somebody's IQ is this damn low that you will sign a death sentence for your own people, and not only do that, isolate yourself from all of your allies. The Lord's causing him to do this, and he does that with all the wars. You see that when the allies of America turns on him. Revelation 17:15, right? Let's start at 16. And the 10 horns that thou saw, they and the beast will hate the prostitute, right? And that's going into the America's allies, NATO, EU turning on America, right? They will make her desolate and naked and devour her flesh and burn her up with fire. For God has put it into their hearts to carry out his purpose by being of one mind and handing over the royal power to the beast until the words of God are fulfilled. He's forcing them to do that. Great precept, Nicholas. Great precept. Proverbs 21:1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, as the rivers of water. He turneth it whithersoever he wills. You can't possibly be this damn dumb to do this. The Lord's causing this. And it's like, all praises to the Most High that he's allowing this to happen so that we can be delivered, bro. Wisdom of Solomon 18:7. We got to accept both the destruction of the wicked, right, and the salvation of the righteous. We have to accept that. How do we accept that? Realize the Most High is putting the spirit of stupor on this man. He's grabbing the orb of confusion, right, holding on to as hard as he possibly can, and leading this country down the drain. That's what we have to believe. And for everybody who doesn't know what the orb of confusion is, I love pulling out this clip. So just let me do this real fast. This is what Trump's holding. This right here.
And now this town belongs to Man Ray.
Not so fast, archvillain. We still have the orb of confusion. Take this.
That's what's happening in Trump. And that's what's happening with the world. Oh, that was easy to blow it up. Right? That's what Trump is doing. He has the orb of confusion, and the Lord is putting that spirit upon him to do that. And you got these morons out here running behind him, just like, yeah, this is a guy. Like that's what's happening right now. And we have to, when we see this, we have to praise the Lord that the Lord is doing that to these people, because they can easily keep their nation rocking forever. The Lord can easily allow that to happen, but since He loves His people so much, He sent His Son to die for us. He created prophets to prophesy about what we need to do to be saved, what's going to happen to the heathen, and what that's going to look like, so we know what to do and be prepared for it. Right? And in that, we're seeing all these things. It's crazy. SpongeBob's in the background of me saying this, but we're seeing all these things happen, right? And we understand that the Bible is a true book. We understand that the Bible is a true book. This is the true God. This is the truth. Because what you're hearing in Christian church is not the truth. I'm not. One thing that be killing. This is now we're doing a side quest. One thing that be killing me is a nigga will lead his troops to go to Christianity, and Christianity is the same people are saying if you're trying to keep the law, you're going to hell. Like that's what people are leaving this for. I think I'm doing pretty good right now. I'm not gonna hold you. I'll tell you that point blank, right? I'll tell you that point blank. But this guy's making America walk the plank. Like the Lord is forcing Trump to make America walk the plank, bro. That's where we're at in 2026.
They were going to ask for way less than that. Slapping a 20% tax on all the oil going through the Strait of Hormuz would only exacerbate the fucking oil crisis, which would, in turn, of course, hurt the U.S. and hurt the global economy and lead to a crash faster. I'm sorry, man. The man is completely and utterly unfit for this position. Like, I don't think you really understand how stupid this thing he says here is. Do you? Do you get this? How stupid this is? Also, needless to say, there's no ability or mechanism by which the U.S. can enforce control over the Strait of Hormuz. The guardian of the Hormuz Strait, my ass cheeks, the guardian of the Hormuz Strait. If in fairness, we're going to charge you 20%, what the fuck are you babbling about? By the way, it's all cope and wishful thinking also, because we know the traffic that's been going through the Strait of Hormuz, and it's bupkis. It's non-existent. It's already been shut down, ski. And this is Trump crashing out after Iran reasserts control over the Strait, and Trump goes, no, you're not going to control the Strait. I'm going to control the Strait. I'm going to control the Strait, and I'm going to block your ports. That's what's going to happen. All right, so an Iran spokesperson comes out and he says the following: we will not, under any circumstances, allow the United States to interfere in the management of the Strait of Hormuz. Not now, not ever.
Not now, not ever. You're not like, see, the reason why they're taking such a hard line on this is because they've tried this diplomacy, right? They tried making deals, but deals is off the table now, bro. It's off the table. This is what it's talking about in Isaiah chapter 13, how they're not about to regard silver or gold. The deal, like that's deals. Look at this. Behold, I'm stirring up the Medes against them, who have no regard for silver and do not delight in gold. That's deals that you would make financially. They're not going to care about that. Look at this. Look at this right here for stir up, right? When you see this, that's crazy. At the same time, right? At the same damn time, right? So when you see this, when it says stir up, the Hebrew word, the way it's used, it says to rouse one up, to awaken, to entice. They're being enticed to be like this. Since the Lord is so against Babylon the Great to have it be destroyed, the Lord is putting the orb of confusion on Trump to be stupid, say this madness, and now these people are enticed to say, no, F that deal. Right? We was going to just let Trump have to deal with the consequences and his cabinet, but now all y'all have to deal with it. That's where we at. And God's been telling this for a long time. Those crazy people you say on this, those Hebrews, like those blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans with these funny get-ups and with these big ass signs, one says 12 tribe chart, and this is the white devil, right? Who y'all say are crazy. We're turning out to be correct. We've been saying this. Me personally, I've been saying this for 10 years. And now I'm getting to literally see it. Lord, let me see this. I want to see this. Right? I put in too much time to not see this, right? But the people before us who've been laboring on the streets have been saying the same exact thing, and we've seen it in 2026. But the Bible's a fake book, though. For a book that has so many hands on it and we can't trust it, it sure is given the correct breakdown. There's a sound of, that. Oh, an emphasis on the great destruction. Emphasis, right? But look at this. It says they're going to be incited. Who was being incited? Medes, right? When you look at this, it says this is going into Persia. Who is Persia? Look at this. Persia is the historical name for the territory that is known today as the Islamic Republic of Iran. This is where we at, bro. And I love the Lord for being true. I love it. Everything he does is true. I love it. Whether it be good or bad, it's in my favor, outside of my favor, I love him for it. I love it. And I'm happy, and I'm so appreciative that I know him. Right. And all of this, what we see right here is a faith booster. It's a faith booster. It's to let you know that what we're doing is right, and let us know what we believe in is correct.
When I say we're right back to square one, I honestly think that undersells it. I think it's worse than being back at square one. We're at square -1 because the fact of the matter is now the strategic oil reserves are nearly at a minimum, right? So we don't have any tricks up our sleeves anymore to be able to keep the price of gas reasonably low. And when that happens, again, at some point, the chickens are going to come home to roost. At some point, reality is going to smack us across the face. And the Iranians know this. And so now with the U.S. and Israel yet again violating the MOU, making it clear you can't make a deal with them, the result is going to be global economic catastrophe. And Trump is going to try to salvage this by ordering the taking of Karg Island or some other important Iranian island for their oil infrastructure, or order just a ground invasion. But either way, this is going to be a strategic blunder that makes the Iraq war look like puppies and rainbows. Okay, this is going to make Iraq look mild by comparison.
Yeah, that? This is going to make Iraq look mild by comparison. Remember how bad that was? Remember how you always saw a video or saw somebody come back with like missing a limb or something like that? I mean, I seen that when I was growing up. People having stories how their friend would go get in the car, or not the car, but like I guess their vehicles, vans, Humvees, whatever it is, right? And they just go driving and then immediately blow up. And he was just talking to him. That's going to look mild in comparison to this. That's what people are saying. It's not just Kyle Kalinske. It's other people on the internet, independent media. Because I'm telling y'all right now, I always say this: Fox is state regime media. When you look at independent media, like personalities like him, Redacted, all these other places, they're warning about this. But when you see Fox News putting a battery in Trump's back, yeah, we can do it. Yeah, Iran, they're just in mud huts and things like that. That's what they think. I'm telling y'all, right? That's why I go watch his channel or Redacted or Midas Touch and all them, because that's where you're gonna get the real breakdowns. And alternative media outside of America. That's where you're gonna get the real breakdowns. Because I'm telling you, like I've said it for the last few months, your parents watching CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, they're getting bamboozled. Right?
All is said and done here.
Canadian I've
called them a baboon regime for a while, and this is the reason why. Like, if you pick some random middle schoolers to make every high-level decision for this country, they would have made better decisions than the Trump regime. And it sounds hyperbolic. I promise you, it's not at all hyperbolic. If you explain in simple terms the facts of geopolitical situations to middle schoolers, that they'll make more reasonable decisions than this. This is like actual insanity. And so here we are. It looks like they're plotting a ground invasion. Looks like the fake ceasefire, the MOU, is completely and utterly dead. We are right back to square one, except now we're on the brink of total economic disaster, and there's nothing any of us can do except sit back and watch the car crash happen in front of us, right? This is like those shows that used to play. Remember Spike TV back in the day, where they would just show like people wiping out on skateboards and cars crashing and planes crashing and shit like that. This is like watching that channel at 4 o'clock in the morning while you're high. You shouldn't be seeing it, but you're seeing it, and it's a disaster, and it's like happening in slow motion, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. It's that, except with the global economy. It's that, except with, the United States standing in the world. He is so in over his head, Donald Trump is. And I honestly think he doesn't even realize it. Honestly, a lot of this is reminding me of COVID, where it was like deny, downplay, until it got to the point where, oh shit, it's smacking us across the face. And now like 1 million people died and the virus is spreading like crazy and we don't have any mitigation efforts in place and we don't know what the fuck we're doing. And it's always playing catch up. That's what this is. It's the same thing, except it's like deny, downplay until boom, the crash hits, the economy grinds to a halt. You got to ration gas. I mean, that's what it is. So I don't know, man. I'm always reminded of the story of how Trump he was the type of person, he would go out there and give a press conference and talk about how one of his businesses is thriving and flourishing and everybody loves it. And he would say that, and then literally a day later, that business would go bankrupt. This is who this man is. He's a natural-born salesman and bullshitter and con man.
He's got the opposite of the Midas touch. You know, the Midas touch, everything you touch turned to gold. Everything he touched turns to shit. It does.
And so he'll say one thing until the fucking cows come home, until you get smacked in the face with reality. And, you know, people are dumb enough, unfortunately, about 30 to 35% of the country is dumb enough to believe all the nonsense up until, you know, hell washes over us. And so people are going to learn the hard way again, bro. But this is bad. This is really, really, really bad.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right.
Oh, yeah, and breaking points, too. Y'all, when y'all get a chance. Now, I've said this multiple times. See, I'm glad brother brought this up. I'm going to tell y'all some people I need to go watch, right? The Canadian Prepper, Breaking Points. Like this woman right here, that's his wife, right? She's on Breaking Points. Go look at Breaking Points every day. It's independent media. They're not on CNN or Fox News Time. They're just as good as his channel, Redacted. Who else? Maya Sutter said that earlier. Who else am I missing? Steve Ram would be good if he didn't just watch state regime media. But when he watches things, I'm not even going to recommend him because he didn't turn into just state regime media altogether, right? But who else am I missing? TYT. Yeah, there you go. The water, right? The Young Turks. That's all of that. If you want to know what's going on in America and geopolitics, those are the ones you go look at. I'm trying to help you all out. I'm not trying to say that just to bore you with things like, I'm trying to help you out, right? So that's, one more before we close this out, right? We'll close this section of the show out. So I want to read this again. I've been reading this the last few times, but I need y'all to understand how important this is. I followed when they got rid of RT News. And they got rid of RT News in the States? They got rid of RT News in the States? But you can't. You mean just the YouTube? Yeah, I mean, hold on. Because you can go to the site. Let me see. Oh, they did. Ain't that, like, bro, that's the devil for you, bro. That's the devil for you. That is the devil for you, right? Where's we at? How are these people not the devil? I don't understand. I don't understand, bro. I don't understand. But Second Ezra's 9. This needs to be read damn near every damn week. At this point, the way prophecy moving, this needs to be read every damn week. So Second Ezra's 9, and from the top it says, He answered me and said, measure carefully in your mind, and when you see that some of the predicted signs have occurred, then you will know that is this the very time when the Most High is about to visit the world that He has made. So when there shall appear in the world earthquakes, tumults of peoples, intrigues of nations, wavering of leaders, confusion of princes, right, which we're all seeing now, right? Then you will know that it is of these. Hold up. Then you will know that it was of these that the Most High spake from the days that were old, from the beginning, right? For just as when everything that has occurred in the world, the beginning is evident and the end is manifest, so also are the times of the Most High. The beginnings are manifest in the wonders and many works, and the end in penalties and in signs, right? So this is going into when the Most High is going to appear, right? You're going to see all these things happen. You're going to know this is what I've been telling you from the beginning. All the things we see now is the things I've heard when I first came into truth, when I first read the Bible, right? all of these things. What does it say for penalties right here? What's the footnote for that? Oh, effects, like the signs. Okay, right. I wonder why it says. Why don't y'all just show? Why do y'all make it so hard to see these Greek manuscripts? Like it's such a like they have all these footnotes off of the Greek, but won't let you look at the Greek manuscripts. And this too. Let me read verse 7. It says, "It shall be that all who will be saved and will escape and will be able to escape on account of their works and on account of the faith by which they have believed, right, will survive the dangers that have been predicted and will see my salvation in my land and within my borders, which I have sanctified for myself from the beginning." So you have to have works. You have to have works. You have to have faith, because that's the only way you're going to be delivered from this place and see the salvation in the land. That's what you need to do. But prior to that, you need to be paying attention to all the things that we see in prophecy to let you know the Most High is coming. And you have to get yourself right and get your houses in order. That's what we need to do. That's a key thing, especially what we just seen today. We need to get your family in order, do what you need to do, right? So with that concludes that aspect of the live stream. So like I said, I was going to do my presentation about the Torah keeping, about how true Christians will keep the Torah. I didn't get to do that at all last week because I was dealing with some smoke with a dummy. And I wish I just did it because, that's why I don't take smoke no more, because niggas really don't know the Bible like that, and they act really prideful in the comment section, and it's just a waste of everybody's time, right? So let's just do this, right? So I wrote this a long time ago, but I want to touch on a few more parts in it and add to it, right? Because we see things like the smart Christian, Corey Miner, talking about a true Christian. If you're trying to keep the laws, you're going to go to hell. But I contend that true followers of Christ have to be Torah keepers. You have to be, right? So let me do my introduction on this. It says, now following the narrative of the Bible, we know without a shadow of a doubt that Christ was the perfect sinless sacrifice promised by God. We see that all throughout prophecy, illustrated by his holy prophets. The Son of God who was Torah compliant from birth. According to Matthew 9:13, Christ expounds upon his mission by telling the Pharisees, "For I am not come to call the righteous, but sinners to repentance." So his mission, he literally says his mission, I've come to call sinners to repentance. People who are breaking the laws to leave that mind state, leave that type of spirit to repentance. You keeping the law, statutes, and commandments of God to the best of your ability, right? And I did this in debate form. So when I say my opponent, everybody who believes like Corey Miner, or everybody who believes like Christians do in 2026, saying you don't have to keep the laws, they are the opponent in this aspect. So I say for my opponent to hold to the position that keeping the laws is not a core principle of following Christ's message, my opponent must provide substantial evidence that Christ himself pivoted from this stance, which he took very early in his ministry. And that's something that I've been saying the last few live streams. Christ all the time points you back to the Torah, but Christians will tell you that you don't have to keep the Torah. So these people, damn what Paul says, damn what anybody else says, if you want to say we have to follow Christ, that's the man we have to follow. Show me where he says we don't have to keep these laws no more. And you can't do that. So the inability to provide valid evidence to support this claim, which there really isn't any, right? To support this claim will result in virtual forfeiture of any credibility in this debate from my opponent or anyone who holds to this belief. So with that, allow me to make my case. So what is a follower? When we look at a follower in modern age, we go to the Merriam-Webster dictionary. It says one in service of another, a retainer, one who follows the opinions or teachings of another, one who imitates another. We see all those things by what Peter said in First Peter 2:21, verse I always pull out, right? So for even hereunto were ye called, because Christ also suffered for us, leaving us an example that we should follow his steps. All of this fits the modern version, the modern age understanding of what a follower is. Somebody following somebody's example is one that follows the opinions and teachings of another and follow his steps. What does it say he did? He did no sin, neither was gall found in his mouth. Right? It says he said he did no sin. So what is sin according to the New Testament? 1 John 3:4. whoever committed sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is a transgression of the law. So if Christ did no sin, and Peter's saying we should follow after his steps, that means we should be what as Christians? Torah keepers, law keepers. So let's look at a follower etymologically. So a follower, it says to accompany, especially as a disciple, move in the same direction as. Christ is moving in a direction. What is his direction? Faith and Torah keeping. So if you're going to be a follower of Christ, aka a Christian, or i.e. a Christian, you will be moving in the same direction. This is to follow after, pursue, move behind in the same direction. Also obey a rule or law, conform to. That's important. Conform to, change yourself as. That's what conform to means. It says act in accordance with. If Christ did no sin, if we're acting in accordance with him, right, that means we have to be Torah keepers. We have to do no sin. We have to not transgress the laws of God. And so applies oneself to a practice, trade, or calling. All of that is important, right? So I paired this up with Romans 8 and 29, right? It says, for whom he did foreknow, he also did predestinate to be conformed to the image of the Son. Conform means to be changed into. So everybody who's going to be a true Christian, they will change from being a sinner to being a follower of Christ. Somebody who moves in the same directions or in accordance with. That's a Torah keeper. If Christ is a Torah keeper, you must be a Torah keeper if you're a Christian, right? Moreover, whom he did predestinate, them he also called, and whom he called, them he also justified, and whom he justified, them he also glorified. All of that is important because we talk about being conformed to the image of the Son. I talk about this too. Confirmation to the image of the Son, or icon in the Greek, right? The Thayer's Greek lexicon defines icon as like an image, use of a moral likeness of renewed men, the image of the Son of God, into which true Christians are transformed. You used to be a sinner, but now you're transformed. Paul talks about, I have it in here. I'll just say it when we get there, right? It's the image of the Son, the image of the Son of God, and into which true Christians are transformed, is likeness not only to the heavenly body, but also to the most holy and blessed state of mind, which Christ possesses. What does Christ possess? What is his mind? What mind does he possess? A mind that's not conformed to transgression and commandments, right? Paul highlights this when he says Colossians 3 and 10. It says, and have put on the new man. That's what this is talking about, being conformed to the image of the Son. You've put on the new man, become a new person, which is renewed in the knowledge after the image of him that created him. Christ, the Lord, Yahweh, right? The Father created Christ, and Christ created everything else, right? And when he walked the earth, he was the sinless sacrifice and did not transgress the laws of God. So when you become the new man and become renewed and conformed to the image of the Son, your mind has now been changed into his mind. You've put off your old self and become him. Not literally, because you have certain people like Yaju, I am the Christ. No, right? You have been changed into a follower of him. So what was Christ's mind towards the law? So Christ's mission in regards to the law. So we always read Matthew 5 and 17, but I want to highlight some Greek words in this and highlight how Christian scholars actually look at these words. Not how Hebrew Israelites do, not how Christians do, just as a generality, but how the scholars who created these lexicons look at it. So Matthew 5 and 17, think not that I come to destroy the law or the prophets. I'm not come to destroy, but to fulfill. So let's look at this word destroy. It's the Thayer's Greek lexicon describes this word as kataluo. Kataluo means to dissolve, disunite, of instructions of forms of government, laws, etc. To deprive of force, annul, abrogate, discard. So what this word means is, if we're going to use it how Christ is using it, say, think not that I come to discard the law. Think not that I come to deprive it of its force, to annul it, right? To dissolve it, to disunite, to get rid of its government or rulership. Think not that I come to do that. That's what the Greek is saying here. Not what a Christians break down, not what a Hebrew Israelites break down. The Greek of what Christ actually said here. Think not that I come to deprive it of force. That's why Paul says in Romans 3:31, do we then make void the law through faith? God forbid. We establish the law. That's what establish means, to hold something in its place. When you look at this, let me show you this real quick. This is do what you will with that information. Okay, cool. Cool, right? So where's we at? Let me show you this. This right here. I'm gonna read it and I'm gonna show y'all something. So you see right here, it says Romans 3:31. Do we then make void the law through faith? God forbid, yea, we establish the law. When you look at this right here in the Hebrew, not Hebrew, in the Greek, right? It says establish the law. Histemi. It says to cause or make, to stand, to put, to set. It's like to bind things and to fix, to establish things, something in its place. What is making reference to? In its power. We hold it and establish it and set it in its power. That's what this word means in context to this verse. That's the same exact thing Christ is trying to tell people in Matthew chapter 5, verse 17, about how, let me go back to this. That right there. Why does this keep popping up? Okay, there we go. That's the same thing he's trying to say. That's the same thing he's trying to avoid people coming to the conclusion with when it comes to his mission. He's trying to avoid people saying, I'm not coming to remove this from this place or to deprive it of power. That's what that means right there. That's kataluo in Matthew chapter 5, verse 17. Right? Now it says, I didn't come to destroy, but to fulfill. When you look at fulfill right here in the Greek, the Thayer's Greek lexicon defines this as plerao. Plerao means universally or absolutely to fulfill. And this is what they add to that, i.e., to cause God's will as made known in the law to be obeyed as it should be. This is what they say. This is what the scholars say. To be made known and obeyed as it should be, and God's promises given through the prophets to receive their fulfillment. Right? And even I think that's the name of the scholar who wrote that. Right? For it to be described and to be followed as it's prescribed. Not only that, the things that's written in the promise, like with Genesis, Exodus, Numbers, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, for those things, this like the Messiah promised in those things, like in Deuteronomy 18:18, the thing prophesied in that to come true. That's why he says this in Luke chapter 24, verse 44. And he said unto them, these are the words which I spake unto you while I was yet with you, that all things must be fulfilled, plerao, which are written in the law of Moses and in the prophets and in the Psalms concerning me. So all the things written about that highlights a messianic figure, he came to fulfill those. And not only to fulfill those, to show us how to keep the Torah in its total fulfillment. That's why he highlights the spiritual aspects of the Torah in addition to keeping it. So let's continue. So continuing in Matthew 5:18, it says, nothing has passed from the law of God. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. Right? All has not been fulfilled in the Torah. The Torah has Christ's quote unquote second coming. So all has not been fulfilled. So it's all in place. That's how we know our breakdown is true in Matthew chapter 5, verse 17, about how he didn't come to deprive it of power, deprive it of force, or to remove it from its set place. Because all has to be fulfilled. All has not been fulfilled in the Torah. So Matthew 5:19, whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so, like Corey Minor, who wants to tell you if you're trying to keep the laws of God, you're going to hell. Like, I don't know how this verse can exist. And you can, like I said that before, but I don't understand how you come to that conclusion. Like, Satan has to be behind you. Like, there's no other option, right? It's he he shall be called least in the kingdom of heaven, but whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I say unto you, that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven. Right? So watch this. So Christ said, unless your righteousness shall exceed that of the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, Christ is going to now tell you what the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees is. Matthew 23 and 1 through 3. Then Jesus said to the crowds and to his disciples, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. So do and observe whatever they tell you. Why? Because they're telling you to keep the laws of Moses, right? It's but not after their works. Well, not the works they do, for they preach but do not practice. They tell you to keep the laws of God, but they themselves do not keep them. So your righteousness has to exceed that of them. You have to keep the Torah commandments because they don't do that. So that shows you how a true Christian, that really, you can really close the book right there if you're going to be really honest about it. But we're going to continue with that. Your righteousness has to exceed that of a hypocrite when it comes to the Torah. So how did Christ fight the devil? Because that's something Christians talk about, a spiritual battle, spiritual warfare, right? So let's see how Christ fought the devil. So in Matthew, let me do this right here. In Matthew 4:1, then was Jesus led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. Let's see how he fought him. The first temptation, Matthew 4 and 3 through 4. The devil tempts Christ to break his fast by turning rocks into stone. Christ quotes Deuteronomy 8 and 3. That's the Torah. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. Torah commandment. Second temptation, Matthew 4 and 5 through 7. The devil tempts Christ to jump off of the temple. Christ quotes Deuteronomy 6 and 16. Ye shall not tempt the Lord your God. The second time fighting him with the Torah. Maybe that's just a coincidence. Let's see the third temptation. Matthew 4 and 8 through 10. The devil tempts Christ to forsake the Lord and worship him. What does he say? Exodus 20 and 3. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Every single time the devil tempted Christ, he fought it with a Torah commandment. So not only did Christ keep the Torah, not only did he teach you to keep the Torah, not only did he say his mission was to not destroy the Torah, but to fulfill it, as in the things that are written about him and how you're supposed to keep it. He does that and illustrates that part, right, about how you're supposed to keep it by fighting the devil with it. But I'm not supposed to keep the Torah. If I'm keeping the Torah, I'm going to hell. But I see Christ fighting the devil with the Torah. Look at this. Verse 11. Also, shalom, y'all. Freaking, I don't know what this is right here. Saturday I was hanging out with my parents and I freaking did something. I don't know what it is, right? This muscle. But I was going to say, oh yeah, verse 11. So it says, then the devil leaveth him, and behold, angels came and ministered unto him. So I want y'all to see something. He fought the devil on 3 occasions with the Torah commandments. So look at this. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. James 4 and 7 through 8 in NLT. So humble yourselves before God. Humbling yourself before God is being in compliance to his word. What is his word? The Torah commandment. So humble yourselves before God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. The same exact thing that happened when Christ humbled himself before the Lord by saying in the third temptation, I can't have any other gods before Yahweh. Only him will I serve. And as soon as he said that, verse 11, the devil left him, and angels ministered unto him. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Come close to God, same thing Christ did, and God will come close to you. Wash your hands, you sinners. What sin? Transgression of the laws of Moses. Also, shalom to all you coming in, right? I'm trying to stay locked in, right? But I see y'all's comments. Shalom to all y'all, right? Wash your hands, you sinners. Purify your hearts, for your loyalty is divided between God and the world. The world is telling you to sin. The major religion of the world is Christianity, right? God, the true belief in him is true. The true religion, people talk about true religion. The true religion of following the Father is set against the world. That's why you have people like Corey Minor on the Smart Christian channel. Imagine that. That's the name of your channel, Smart Christian channel, and then have a video saying, if you try to keep the Torah, you're going to go to hell. That is it. That is a worldly religion. That is what Paul warned about right here with this. Colossians 2:8. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ. Saying you don't have to keep the law, statutes, and commandments anymore is the rudiments of the world. How do we know that? Because in 1st and 2nd Maccabees, the king said every man should leave their laws and be one with Greece. And if you try to keep your laws or call yourself to be a Jew, right, something that separates you, your law, statutes, commandments, your feast, your sacrifice, if you try to do all those things and not want to be like the rest of the world, you have to be put to death. That's why what they teach is after the rudiments of the world and not after Christ. Because that's what we see Goyim doing. That's the Goy slop that you teach. Christianity is Goy slop. At the end of the day, that's my new thing. Christianity is Goy slop, bro. So let's continue with this. So Christ explaining how to obtain eternal life, really quickly, right? Matthew 19:16. Someone came to Jesus with this question: Teacher, what good deed must I do to have eternal life? Why ask me about what is good? Jesus replied, there is only one who is good, right? And you see in the KJV, it says, and that is God. So that's a Trinity cut right there for everybody, right? Even if he's a partition of the Trinity, that's a Trinity cut. It says, but to answer your question, if you want to receive eternal life, keep the commandments. He says, which ones? The man answered, and Jesus replied, you must not murder, you must not commit adultery, you must not steal, you must not deal falsely, right? Now, it also talks about loving thy neighbor at the end of that. Why is that important to know? Because that's letting you know it's not just the 10 commandments, it's the law in general you must keep. That's how Christ said you inherit the eternal life. So another one that I always go to, Matthew 7:21, NLT. Not everyone who calls out to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven. Only those who actually do an action, a work, do the will of my Father in heaven will enter. On judgment day, many will say to me, Lord, Lord, we prophesied in your name and cast out demons in your name and perform many miracles in your name. But I will reply, I never knew you. Get away from me, you who break God's laws. So judgment day has not happened yet. It will be in the future. It's after Christ's death. And Christians will say everything changed after Christ's death. But Christ is saying when he returns, those people who are breaking God's laws, he's going to say, I never knew you. And the reason why he's going to say, I never knew you, is because a true Christian is a law keeper. That's why he's saying that. So what did Christ tell his disciples to teach in the Great Commission? Matthew 28:19. Go ye therefore, teach all nations, baptize them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Ghost, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you. He commanded them to keep the Torah. And we've just read multiple of those places. And I also show you how the all nations can be heathen, because you're going to explain to them how you can put usury on them. You're going to explain to them about there's a holiday. You're going to go to an Egyptian and be like, yeah, you have to keep this holiday. You have to keep this holiday about how the Lord slaughtered your people and did that for a ransom for our people. You're going to tell heathen that to serve that? I don't think that's going to go well. Right? I don't think that's going to go well at all. You're gonna tell them I can't eat roadkill, but I can sell it to you. I don't think that's gonna go well. You're gonna tell them about Leviticus 25, how you can take the heathen around about you as slaves and for perpetual times, like forever. I can keep passing them down. Not only will they have to serve our God, but also have to continue serving us. But I thought when they served us, they become just like us and get eternal bodies. But either way, right? The Great Commission, Christ said, "Go teach them what I have taught you." He taught them to keep the commandments. So what did the apostles and the disciples of Christ teach? 2 John 1 and 9. Whosoever transgresseth, what does transgresseth mean? That same author said in 1 John 3 and 4, the same author said, if you transgress the laws of God, that is sin, because sin is a transgression of the laws of God. So 2 John 1 and 9. Whosoever transgresseth and abideth not in the doctrine of Christ, showing you how a true Christian would be a law keeper. Because if you sin, you're not abiding in the doctrine of Christ. So whosoever transgresseth and abideth not in the doctrine of Christ hath not God. He that abideth in the doctrine of Christ hath both the Father and the Son. Why? Because you're obedient to the Father's words. The Son told you to listen to what the Father said. You want to be children of the Father. You want to be Christ's brothers, so you have to be under the same thing he was under. He was made under the law to redeem those who were under the law. So if you want to be a brother to Christ and have the Father be your father, you have to abide under his rules. And if you don't abide under his rules, you have not the Son because you don't believe in what he taught, and you have not the Father because you're not obedient unto him. Easy. Sing this to your mother who thinks you can eat pork, right? 1 John 3 and 7. Little children, let no one deceive you. Whoever practices righteousness is righteous. And I just want this answered, bro. Christians, just like how we seen last week, Christians will go to Paul in Romans 3 and say nobody's righteous. But John, somebody who literally walked with Christ, said, don't let nobody deceive you. Whosoever practices righteousness is righteous. I thought nobody's righteous. Or else Paul has to mean something else, and he does mean something else. He does. You Christians just don't know the Bible, right? Let me read that again. Little children, let no one deceive you. Whoever practices righteousness is righteous. Whoever makes a practice of sinning is of the devil. So that dummy who wanted to say, if you're trying to keep the laws of God, you're going to hell, that guy is of the devil. Whoever makes a practice of sinning is of the devil. For the devil has been sinning from the beginning. The reason the Son of God appeared was to destroy the works of the devil. What's the works of the devil? That Cain spirit. How do we know that? Watch this. Then we're going to come right back to that. First John 3 and 11. For this is the message that you've heard from the beginning, that we should love one another. Not as Cain, who was of that wicked one, who? The devil. This is the devil appearing. That spirit that came upon Cain to kill his brother. Not as Cain, who was of that wicked one, and slew his brother, and wherefore slew he him? Because his own works were evil, and his brother's righteous. His works were evil because the wicked one came upon Cain to put the spirit upon him to unalive his brother. Christ came so that spirit could be taken away. And who is it taken away from? Israel. Because we see in Isaiah, I think it's either 66 or 65, where it talks about there will be sinners in the kingdom of heaven. Why? Because the heathen are not under the new covenant. So they will be subject to the spirit that allows them to get put to death. But he came to save Israelites from this. Why? Because he redeemed them. But let's go back to this. Boom, right? Where did I stop it? Okay. The reason the Son of God appeared was to destroy the works of the devil. No one born of God makes a practice of sinning. No one truly, a true Christian, like they'll say born again. I'm a true Christian because I've been born again. I've been baptized. But it says no one who's born of God makes a practice of sinning. What does that mean from a Christian standpoint? What does that mean? It says, for God's seed abides in him, and he cannot keep on sinning because he has been born of God. But this is evident. Who are the children of God, and who are the children of the devil? Whoever does not practice righteousness is not of God, nor is the one who does not love his brother. And that's important because they explain about loving your brother. And they explain about the devil and the spirit that came upon Cain to kill his brother. That's all highlighting what this is talking about. But I want to highlight something too. When Christians go to Romans 3 to say no one is righteous, Why does John say whoever does not practice righteousness is not of God? So that means everybody's not of God then if nobody's righteous. You see what Christians have to do? You see what they have to do all the time? What did the disciple Peter teach? 1 Peter 4:1. Therefore, since Christ suffered in his body, arm yourselves also with the same attitude, because whoever suffers in the body is done with sin. As a result, they do not live the rest of their earthly lives for evil human desires, but rather to the will of God. What's the will of God? Psalms 40. David says in Psalms 40, the will of God is keeping the commandments. Paul even says in Romans chapter 2, I think it's 2:17, the Jews were instructed out of the will of God. And he literally says the Torah. He literally says the law. So that didn't change when it came to the New Testament, right? First Peter 2 again. We can keep it pushing after that because I already read that before. So what did the Apostle Paul teach? 2 Timothy 2:19. Nevertheless, the foundation of God standeth sure, having this seal, the Lord knoweth them that are his, and let everyone that nameth the name of Christ depart from iniquity. Iniquity is sin by definition. So everybody who's of the Lord has departed from iniquity. Romans 3:31. Do we then overthrow the law by this faith? By no means. On the contrary, we uphold the law. Romans 6:1. What shall we say then? Are we to continue in sin that grace may abound? By no means. How can we who have died to sin live in it? What do we do? What do we do with these? Like, if you're a Christian who wants to use Paul's epistles, say we want to keep the law, what do you do with these things? I'm glad I went back over this because I haven't pulled that 2 Timothy 2:19 in a long time. I'm bringing that one back out. That's what I should have did. I'm bringing that one back out. What does Revelation say? Revelation 14:12. Here is a call for the endurance of the saints, those who keep the commandments of God and their faith in Jesus. What do we do with that information? It says the commandments of God and the faith in Jesus. They'll say the commandments of God, they're just believing in Jesus, but this juxtaposes the two. So the commandments of God is the same law. Matter of fact, it's the same thing we've seen in the Bible just in general. Watch this. Nehemiah 8:1. It says, and all the people gathered themselves together as one man into the street that was before the water gate. And they spake unto Ezra the scribe to bring the book of the law of Moses, which the Lord commanded to Israel. Right? Some people say he commanded to Israel and the heathen, but for some reason Nehemiah is saying just Israel. But let's continue. Nehemiah 8:8. So the same thing where it said the book of the law of Moses. Let's see what it's also called. Nehemiah 8:8. So they read in the book of the law of God. These are the commandments of God distinctively, and gave the sense and caused them to understand the reading. So the law of Moses and the law of God, or commandments of God, are all synonymous monikers. All of these things are distinctions without a difference, right? They're distinct names or phrases, but they all mean the same exact thing. So when you get back to where it says the commandments of God, we know what that means. It means the same thing it's always meant. Literally. Revelation 22:14. It says, blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life and may enter into the gates into the city. That doesn't need a breakdown. The only way you're going to enter into the city is a way has to be prepared for you by Christ, right? Let's mirror these together. So it says, blessed are they that keep the commandments, they have right to enter into the tree of life and enter into the gates of the city, right? So there's also another caveat on entering into the gates and inheriting the kingdom. How do we know that? Look at this. I'm going to read verse 31, and then I'm going to go to the point. So Matthew 25:31, when the Son of Man shall come in his glory and all the angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory. Now it's going to talk about he's going to gather all the nations, It's because it's time to judge people. Verse 34. Then shall the king say unto them that are on the right hand, come ye blessed of my father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world, the elect inheriting the kingdom. So Christ is going to be giving people like license to inherit this. So for both of these things to be true at the same time, that would mean part of them having to inherit this kingdom is them keeping the commandments of God. So a true Christian would have to keep the commandments of God. Revelation 21:7. He that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he shall be my son. But the fearful and unbelieving and the abominable and murderers and whoremongers and sorcerers and all idolaters and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. So if you're not having right to inherit this kingdom, you're going to be a part of the second death. It names the people who are in that. The fearful, that's lack of faith, right? Unbelieving, lack of faith. Abominable murderers, Torah breaking commandments, right? Whoremongers, being a pimp, right? You know, some people are pimps, right? You know, but sorcerers, idolaters, and liars, right? All of these things are Torah commandments. If you're doing these specific things, you're not going to inherit the kingdom of God. And mirroring that back up with Matthew chapter 25, Christ has to give you authority to be a part of that. The people who is giving authority to be a part of that are those people who are keeping the commandments, like Revelation 22:14 says, and all right, y'all, you got it. And in verse 8, the people who aren't doing these transgressions, right? Oh man, all these things, right? So, and I'm this is my conclusion slide, but I have more to add to this, just to bring it together. So, in conclusion, we see the God of the Bible revealed a civil structure, moral system, and a strict guideline on how he wishes to be served. Because we talk about like the two versions of worship. You have what is that? Latreo and proskuneo. Proskuneo is like you bowing down to something and like showing reverence. Latreo is divine service, right? That's how the Lord wants to be served. He gives a strict guideline on how he wants to be served, and that's the Torah commandments, right? That's called the Torah. We can clearly see a direct continuity with Torah keeping from Moses to Christ. We literally see that, right? And we literally see the Lord prescribing that. He says it, and his disciples and his apostles preach the same thing, right? Which leads you to understand if they're saying these things in various, like I pulled like at least 10 plus scriptures of them affirming that you have to keep the Torah. So if there's 10 verses affirming that you have to keep the Torah by the apostles and the disciples, you have to then reconcile those with the verses that you think say you don't have to keep it. Those two things can be true at the same time, but not those two things. Those are competing ideologies. That's a problem. That's why this lesson exists in the first place. There's too many verses that point back to the Torah, just like how Christ did. So it says we can clearly see a direct continuity with Torah keeping from Moses to Christ, Christ to the church age, and the church age to the kingdom, according to the biblical narrative, which was shown. Using misconceptions of Paul, opinions, and emotions to negate Torah keeping is in direct deviation of Christ's literal instruction, and we've shown it, right? And it will only result in your own destruction. It will literally, like, you have to really admit, if you're saying I don't have to keep the Torah, and if you keep the Torah, you're going to go to hell, you're saying it's okay for somebody to take your wife. I'm glad I just said that, because that reminded me of something. Let me show y'all this. Oh, I hope I can find it. Because other Christians, the crazy part, even other Christians are coming out against Corey Minor for saying that dumb shit. I'm going to be honest with you. So look at this. Where is this at? Let me see if I can find it. Please let me find it. Oh, my shorts. No. Damn. Okay. Yeah, I ain't got it. I should have saved it. YouTube be playing games with my history bar. But either way, you got Christians coming out against him about it. But I want to add a few more to this. So we see a continuity of Torah keeping past the New Testament. And what I mean the timeline. So you see things like this. Zechariah, and this is the same thing I asked in my debate with Pastor Wayne, which went horribly for him. Where is this at? So Zechariah 14 and 16. This is taking place in the kingdom. Christians will admit this. Everybody will admit this. So it says in Zechariah 14 and 16, and it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. So the Feast of Tabernacles will be kept in the kingdom of God. So if that's done, if all the commandments were done away with it upon Christ, why in the kingdom of God will the nations, not just Israel, the nations will have to join Israel to keep this specific commandment? And it's not optional, because let's see what the next part says. And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. That's a famine. You will get a famine. That's really Deuteronomy 30. Look at this. It said, "Oh, I'm getting that was coming next." All right, actually, that verse was coming next. What was I thinking? Oh yeah, Deuteronomy 28. Let's see. Yeah, right here. So they're really getting Deuteronomy chapter 28 when that happens. The curses. Deuteronomy 28 and 24. It says, "The Lord shall make the rain of thy land powder and dust. From heaven it shall come down upon thee until thou be destroyed." That's famine. It's like, and we see that literally happen to Israel. I think that's Jeremiah 14, the chapter where they're talking about it's the Jews are black unto the ground. That's not, the Jews aren't, that doesn't say the Jews are black people, right? That's talking about mourning. We're mourning because we're getting this, a famine and dearth. It says that when you look at the other translations. See, this is why certain Hebrew Israelites stay in the KJV, because that's really the only thing you can do that with. We look in the ESV, right? Deuteronomy 14 and 1, it says, "The word of the Lord came unto Jeremiah concerning the drought." This is that curse that we just seen that will come upon the heathen if they don't keep the law of the tabernacles, keep the feast of the tabernacle. It's the same thing, really, right? It says Judah mourns in her gates language. When it says the Jews are black unto the ground, that word literally means mourning. We're mourning because all of our stuff came to a famine could cripple a nation now. But back then, when we were only agricultural, it crippled us. When you look at this in the ESV, not the ESV, the NLT, right? Look at this. It says Judah wills commerce at the city gates grinds to a halt. All the people sit on the ground in mourning. A great cry rises from Jerusalem. That's what happened when that dearth or that drought came upon us, which is a result of the curse of Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 24. And this really kind of shows you when you have a dumb Christian. See, these are little side quests I'm adding to this. A Christian will tell you, well, if y'all are under the curses of Deuteronomy chapter 28, why don't we see all of them happening? Because they don't all happen at the same time. We were in our land right here and didn't go on slave ships, but we got the curse about the powder is rain. This is evidence of that. A Christian will ask y'all that. So that's just something. It'll also ask you about a king, right? And there's various other kings that we have that went into captivity with us, right? They happened with blacks and Hispanics. So that's one point I just want to show you. There's a little side quest to that. So the verse that Ariala brought up, right? I'm not reading this anything else. So we can put it back KJV because I've been reading a lot of this. David chose niggas dying instead of family. Yeah, that. Because we've seen what that looks like. We've seen what that looks like when we just read about it in Jeremiah the 14th chapter. So Isaiah 2 and 1, it says, the word of the Lord, the word that Isaiah, the son of Amoz, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem, and it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the tops of the mountains and shall be exalted above the hills, and all the nations shall flow into it. And many people shall go and say, come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. What do we do as Christians when you see this? When you're a Christian who says the law is done away with. So, like, and I said this a long time ago, and I'm gonna say it now. So what a Christian believes in is from the beginning all the way until Christ's arrival, the Torah was in play. When Christ dies, all the way up until he returns, the Torah is not in play. But when Christ comes back and establishes his kingdom, the Torah is then in play again. That's what you believe. That's literally that's the timeline you believe in. The Torah is in play, right? Then it isn't, and then it is. Anybody who watches The Office, snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap, right? If you watch The Office, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But that's what you believe in. It's far more easier to believe and easier to prove that the Lord doesn't change, and this is what is always prescribed. That's the easiest. If you want to sit down and break it down into like, okay, we don't have to do all these crazy eschatological breakdowns and use all these big Christian words that they don't really even understand, right? It's easier just to come to the conclusion that the Lord doesn't change. This is how he prescribed it, how he wants. This is his love language, right? And you have to get on board with it if you want to be a wife of him. All the time you see all the time throughout the prophecies, you see the believers. What in the heck is going on with that? I don't what is even that? Right? That's another meme. But if all the times in the prophecies and in the New Testament, some places where it talks about the church is the bride, right? And in the prophecies, it talks about the believers being the wife of the Lord. This is the Lord's love language. His Torah's commandments, this is the Lord's love language specifically, right? So you either want to get along with that and be a good wife, or you want to be a bad wife and be given the bill of divorce. And I'll tell y'all this bill of divorce ain't going to be you being kicked off the land. This bill of divorce is going to result in you getting really, really hot, right? And if you want to understand what that's like, ask Lindsey Graham. Like, how he said it's hot as hell, right? Lindsey Graham said it's hot as hell. So did Charlie too. If that's what you want, just don't do anything when it comes to the Lord's love language, and continue to say things like, oh, if you keep the law, you're gonna go to hell, right? Let me see something. Right. And also I'd say that those things about Lindsey Graham and Charlie Kirk about them burning in underground, it's just a joke. I don't believe there's a fiery pit, but you're gonna get the second death if you're saying that madness. But I don't want people to misunderstand. Those are just jokes. But what's another one? I think the point's kind of proven. There's more, but I think the point's kind of proven. Like there's nothing you can really say. And this is a thing I would love for a Christian to take this debate, right? Because I seen that dude. What's that dude from Line of Fire that Alizar debated? He did a lesson today, because that's really, it's like antinomianism and Torah keeping, and if you have to or not. That's been a debate amongst the Christians. And I saw him make a video about it today. I kind of want to respond to it, but I might just do that as a single video by itself. What is it? Let me see if I can find it really quickly. Let me see. Oh, sure. Ariel live. Oh, we're doing a premiere. I'm going to share it after this. Actually, no. While we're here, y'all go check this out.
To the saints in Romans chapter 4 and verse 1, he says,
"Oh, he already cutting somebody." already cut. But yeah, y'all go check this video. Check this video out after this one. I'm about to close out anyway, right? I'm gonna share it on the page. But where was this at? What was I doing? Oh yeah, Line of Fire. This guy. He's supposed to be the leading Jewish Christian scholar. Like this right here. You're going to hell if you don't obey the Torah. Like, see, this y'all getting out of hand, bro. Y'all are getting out of hand. It's like it's really exposing who the children of the devil actually are. Right. Just like how I said in 1 John chapter 3. We know who the children of the devil are and who are the children of God. The people who are the children of the devil saying you don't have to keep the Torah. Christ came and fulfilled it. You ain't got to do nothing. The children of God is like, okay, Christ said he's coming to fulfill the Torah. He's going to fulfill the things that are written about him in the Psalms and the prophets and the law. And he pointed me back to the Torah. I'm going to keep that. That's what a true Christian would do. Right. But yeah, I think I'm gonna react to that anyway and make a video off of that. Because hey, whilst we're here, right? I might see what else he's got, what other kind of madness he's cooking up on the channel, right? But I pray y'all been edified, man. It's been a tough day for me, right? It's been a very tough day for me. It's been a tough week, last few weeks. It's been a little tough, but it's fine though. We rejoice in our tribulations, like how the apostle said. Y'all pray for me, right? Because I'll pray for you. I'll pray for you. You pray for me. Let's do that. Let's be simpatico with that. Hit that like button, though. If you love your brother, hit that like button. If you've been edified, hit that like button. Shalom to everybody who, if just in case I missed you, right? Shalom to all y'all in the chat. It's a good live. Also, tune in on Wednesday when we're talking about God logic. I'm gonna be honest with you, destroying Hebrew Israelites. It is what it is, right? What else? What else we got, right? Hit that hype button. I don't know why I haven't been remembering to tell y'all this. So everybody on your phone, I don't think you see it. You don't see it when you're on your computer or you're on the TV. But if you're on your phone right now, scroll over where you see the comment section, right? Hit that hype button. Let me see if it's actually showing. Because sometimes YouTube be playing games with me. They be half-ass rolling out features and then not even, hold up. Okay, you probably can't see it. Okay. Oh no, it's after the hype button is, you can do it on the lives, but it's after the live is ended. So after y'all do this, hit that hype button, hype the video, right? That helps us get in the algorithm, get in the hype charts, allows for more people to see us. Because YouTube, they changed their algorithm. And for everybody who's a camp leader who has a YouTube channel, I'll tell y'all this. YouTube has changed their algorithm. You can't just organically get over now, right? You have to have people like your videos. You have to have people comment on your videos. You have to have people hype your videos, right? Their algorithm isn't gonna prop you up no more. That hype button and people interacting is going to hype this up now. So if you love your brother, hit that hype button, right? If you're upon your heart, leave a super chat, super thanks, right? Got videos coming out, got a lot going on, bro. A lot going on. I think I got everything. Yeah. So with that, I'm gonna say call halal Yahweh Ba'Shem. Have you heard of a dude that's going around live saying prove that Paul and Jesus ever existed? You got Kemetic scholars. I'm not even gonna say scholars. You got people who are in the Kemetic community always say that all the time. But you could go to historians to prove that they exist, like Tacitus, various other people who show that Christ existed. Paul's epistles have been kept through. Like, honestly, it's really kind of easy to prove Paul existed by the amount of copies of his epistles that have been preserved for the churches. Like that don't just accidentally happen, right? That just don't accidentally happen. But with that, I'm gonna say call halal Yahweh Ba'Shem Mashiach Yahweh Shai Shalom y'all.